What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The wait is finally over, so today we're going to review the 2024 Road Glide. Not the standard, not the special, because for 2024 there is only one, and I'm going to show it to you in this video. So there has been a lot of anticipation around the 2024 models. People trying to figure out what Harley had up their sleeves. Well, now we finally know. But before we jump into the review, I want to make an announcement. So I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which I think is a very doable goal, because at the time of posting this video, I'm right at 37,000. So to help boost that, I'm going to be offering either a free Tim's Harley Davidson hat or Tim's Harley Davidson shirt that I pay for out of my own pocket with my own money to one subscriber. So all you have to do is leave a comment on this video and I'll pick a winner within 72 hours. I'll get with you, get your contact info, and get it sent out. Shirt of your size, or if you want to go with the hat, I'll send you that as well. So be sure you're subscribed. That's the only two catches. You have to leave a comment and you have to be subscribed, and yes, I'm gonna check. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's jump into the review. So I'm gonna go over this bike in detail, but before I do, I wanna give you guys a walk around just to let you see what this bike looks like. So this is the white onyx pearl colorway, and I absolutely love this color. You can see there's a lot of very, very fine metal flake in this paint, and it looks really, really good against this black trim. So if this bike looks familiar, it's because they did move the CVO body style over to the Road Glide as well as the Street Glide, which I'll also be doing a review on. Another reason to subscribe if you're not already. We also got a bump in engine size. So the Road Glide is now rocking the 117 Milwaukee 8, which gives you a good little bump in power. And I do want to point out that although the case here looks the same as the CVO model, this is a non-VVT bike that is still reserved for the CVO models. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you really quickly. So on your 23 Road Glide, your cam cover looked like this, a little bit different. And then when the 23 CVOs came out, they switched the cover. This is what it looks like. But you'll see that this one is branded with the VVT, whereas the Road Glide is not. So next, I'll sit on this bike as if we were gonna take it for a spin, and I'll kind of show you everything this bike has going on. So you'll see just picking it up, the screen already came alive. Your controls, once again, share a lot of similarities with the CVO model. So if you've got any experience with the 23 model CVOs, this will look familiar to you. If not, this will be completely foreign, because for that bike, as well as this one, Harley Davidson really switched things up. So you're still gonna start your bike on the right-hand side. You just flip the switch to run and then hit it again as your start button, which has kind of been confusing some people. You have your kill switch here, your hazards here. All of your audio controls will be right here. Mode selector right here, right turn signal. And then over on your left side, you'll have your cruise control, your trip button, your traction control, all your navigational buttons for controlling your big infotainment screen, your left turn signal, and then your horn. One thing I want to point out too is Harley Davidson is now sending these bikes out with a very different grip. For my whole time with Harley Davidson since about 2014, 2015, they have come with a smooth style grip that looks like this, just very plain Jane. Not a terrible grip for a stock grip, but I think the majority of people end up changing them. Everybody's got different taste and style and feel, what they like. So Harley just put something kind of cheaper on there. With these, I feel like they made a little bit more effort. They are a little bit more comfortable. They're way more grippy, feel a lot better on your fingers, give you a lot more traction. This is very similar to the style of grips that I end up changing my to. I run more of like a motocross style grip that kind of has this waffle pattern in there. So I'm glad to see Harley making an effort on the little details. So you still get your compartments on either side of the fairing that the Road Glide is known for. All you have to do now is push them. They'll pop right up. You'll see you still get your plug to connect a phone in, and it is USB-C, so Harley Davidson is keeping up with the times, which again is really good to see. So this cubby is pretty deep, but it's also very phone size. So like you've got good space this way, but not as much that way. So you're gonna easily be able to throw your phone in one of these, throw your wallet, your keys, all the stuff that you don't necessarily want in your pocket. Your other side will be exactly the same size, just minus the plug for your phone. I know it's kind of hard to see down in there, but again, just somewhere to store the little bit of stuff that you don't want in your pocket when you're riding. And just because we've got one here, I'll remind you, the old style is kind of that lift up. It's USB-A, so very outdated for 2023. Same thing on your other side over there. Now, one thing that is interesting is you have a 12 volt, like the cigarette lighter style plug there to plug in and power different accessories. And unless I'm just absolutely missing it or overlooking it, I do not see it on this bike. I never used them when I was riding a Road Glide, so I don't know how many people did. I don't know how much that will be missed, but unless I'm just overlooking it, you do not get that on the 2024 model. I'm really glad to see this screen. I'll pop this thing on really quickly just so we can take a spin around it. This is not a how-to or anything like that. This is just kind of showing you what happens when the bike turns on. So you can change your layout and stuff. I did it on the CVOs. You can turn it white, black, move things around, all that good stuff. So you'll press this little menu button here, which will bring up that menu. Again, we won't go into all the different features that the bike has. It would just make this video entirely too long, but you do still have all your radio features, all the things that you're used to, you're gonna have. However, the navigation, the sales guys here were kind of telling me that to do navigation, your phone will have to be plugged into the bike. And Harley apparently is offering some kind of subscription thing if you want to use built-in GPS. I don't know how many people use that. I'm a Google Maps guy, so that's what I prefer. I can still plug my phone in, run my Google Maps without having to pay anything. But I think Harley's offering a monthly subscription package for GPS. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people may criticize, but I've experienced firsthand, and I do like this actually, and that's this matte finish inner fairing. So at first glance, you'd say, oh, it should be painted, whether it should be paint matched or it should be gloss, just like the special models offered, etc. The shiny is terrible when the sun is behind you, shining down on this, because then this whole section, this big Road Glide fairing that all of you guys love, turns into a giant mirror reflecting all that light right back into your face. So I absolutely hate anything shiny in this area. Obviously the screen kind of doesn't act in that manner, but a painted surface will absolutely blind you. So if you look down in there at the speakers, they are branded Harley Davidson. I don't see any Rockford Fosgate branding on there whatsoever. I know in the past all the Rockford speakers have been branded Rockford, so I'm going to assume these are Harley Davidson's own proprietary speakers. I have no experience with them as of yet. I will ride this bike. I will do a separate video for a test ride review of this bike. I know the factory Harley speakers have caught heat in the past, so I'll definitely be sure and test that out for you guys. And the last thing on the fairing before we move on, you can still close this front vent just like you could last year. Just change the way that you do it. So last year you had a little button over here you would press. Now you kind of have a dial, which I actually like better. So it's not an open or closed thing. It's kind of, you point it where you want it. So again, Harley did really, really good on these bikes in my opinion. So as I mentioned, you do get the new CVO body styling on here. So looking at the tank, I know in photos and stuff, sometimes it can be hard to tell. You do kind of have like a chamfered edge here, kind of squared off. And I think they had to do that for structural integrity, just to make sure that this tank is strong and doesn't dent so easily. We also have a new badge on the side of the bike, something that we haven't seen before. It looks pretty modern, pretty sleek, pretty subtle. I'm digging it. It's not flashy, it's not over the top. I think it fits this bike really well. I also love the streamlined dash. So it's super low profile, keeps your tank over here in the center. So just lift this little tab and pull. Your gas is open, could not be easier. You see you have your little Road Glide branding, a little bit of the design. Then your bar and shield logo on the bottom of that. Just like the CVO models, you do have these air deflectors that are adjustable. I did play with those some when I rode the CVO bikes, and they do make a much bigger difference than I would think that they make. It's a small piece, but you can literally block the air from hitting your body at all, or have it flowing straight to you. So in the winter, obviously you can close it. Summer, open it up so you get a little bit of airflow. Now, I know this fairing has been very divisive. They say Harley copied people, but I do want to point out that the Road Glide is the original design of this fairing, and we won't get into the weeds. I know Honda and some other companies had a fixed fairing, but as far as this overall aesthetic, I feel like Harley Davidson did it first. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. This is the headlight that we get, and again, none of this is technically new as we saw this on the CVO models, but it seems to be a very love it or hate it style fairing. So I'm curious to know what camp you're in. The new Street Glide fairing, I was an instant fan of. The new Road Glide fairing, I'm still warming up to it. I don't dislike it, but I'm still warming up to it. Unfortunately, we did not get an inverted front end on this bike. I'm not sure how much longer Harley Davidson is going to make us wait on the Street and Road Glide to get inverted front ends. They're running them on the 2023 CVOs and then some of the 2024 bikes. So we know they have it. Maybe it's a cost savings thing, but I really do hope that Harley Davidson introduces that sooner than later. Same story on your brakes, your dual disc front brakes, the same ones that you've had forever. Your wheel, however, is a different wheel. I don't remember what this wheel is called. It's a decent looking design. I point this out in all my videos. Wheels are expensive. So if you can get a decent one that's stock, something that you can live with, that's good. And I feel like Harley delivered that in this wheel. Doesn't really knock my socks off, but I don't dislike it. I wouldn't have to take it off immediately. But again, I want to know what you guys think. Let's take a temperature of the room. What are we thinking on these wheels? One thing that I didn't point out when we were talking about this inner fairing and the console and all that good stuff was the handlebar setup. So I just assume that everybody pays attention to every little thing Harley Davidson does, just like I do, but I realize that's not the case. So if you didn't keep up with the CVOs that launched last year, this will be new for you, but this is huge. So you now have an exposed clamp for your handlebars, and this is huge because doing handlebar changes, especially if you're leaving the stock risers, became much easier to do or much cheaper to do if you're gonna do it at the dealership, because they don't have to pull this whole fairing off to do it anymore. Just pull these 4 bolts out, this clamp comes off. Obviously you got to switch all your controls. If you're going to go taller, you're going to have to put longer cables, etc. Still going to be spendy, but it's a lot easier of a process to do now. Moving around to what I call the B side of the bike, nothing really has changed here. Everything still looks the same, works the same, you get the same amount of stuff. I do have to point this out though, because it really bugged me when I saw it on the CVO, and that is the horn location as well as the appearance. I think last year I said it looks like they were about to roll this bike out and realized that they forgot to put a horn on it, and they literally just screwed it to wherever they could find. I think we could do a little bit better on that, but I mean, if that's my biggest gripe and criticism of the bike is where the horn is mounted and how it looks, I think we're doing pretty good. Now we did finally get a seat upgrade. I haven't fully ridden this bike. I rode it around the dealership, so I rode it for a whole 15 seconds, but I do like the way that it feels. It gives you a lot more lumbar support. It feels wider. It's nice and tapered here where it would kind of cut the circulation to your legs on longer rides. So I am glad that we got that. Again, just because we've got it here. This was your old seat. I mean, doesn't look as good, not nearly the support back there. So once again, you know I keep saying it, but I do feel like Harley really stepped things up on these bikes. And speaking of the seat, this may be the smallest detail ever, but we finally got a little bit better seat screw on here versus those cheap silver Phillips head screws that were terrible. That one's a little more low profile, and I know that seems like a tiny thing, but I see almost everybody change those. So once again, the attention to detail is on point. So going back to the new bodywork, you see your saddlebags kind of wider at the front, taper down as they come to the back of the bike, and they also kind of have that chopped look, which I actually really like. I saw a lot of the stunt guys doing this first, and they chopped theirs at a little bit different angle, but I do really dig that look. Now, you did lose a tiny bit of space over last year's bags, but I do think these are a better looking bag, and I personally like that they are a non-stretched bag. I know that's going to upset a lot of people because I know people like that, but again, for me, for my personal taste, I like the non-stretched bags. So in your bags, you're usually going to find all this good stuff, your owner's manual, all that. So you get one security fob and 2 keys. And Harley started doing this a while back, and people fight me about this in the comments all the time. So, no, they come with 2. They come with 2. I can only assume the dealership is putting a second one on your bike, and you are paying for it. So you might have gotten 2, but I bet if you comb through your paperwork, you paid for an extra one. Now in your other saddle bag, I just found this. This is the wrench that adjusts your suspension. So you'll see here, you have these little teeth that wrench is made to go into. In your owner's manual, it will tell you where to set your suspension based on your weight. You also need to consider your luggage weight, and then if you have a passenger, you need to consider that weight. And obviously that's going to change when you don't have a passenger. It's going to be a little bit of a pain, but it's worth doing in my opinion. One of the most overlooked things on a motorcycle, especially in the Harley Davidson community, is suspension. We all build these giant motors and do all this cosmetic stuff, and we don't even adjust the suspension. So take the time, guys. Do that, set this bike up, and you will get a much, much better ride. You know, I said earlier that I was still taking a little time to get used to that fairing, and that's how I feel about this tail section with those filler lights. I know they look a lot more high-end. It's a clean look, and just like with the fairing, I don't dislike it. It's just taken me a little bit of time to get there. Now, as a comparison and a reminder, this is what we are used to seeing, and I don't dislike that. I don't know that I really have a favorite out of the 2 that I like one more than the other. I think it's just because this one is new. It takes me a little bit of time to get used to seeing it on these bikes. So I'll give you guys one more 360 walk around, show you this bike. I know it's a combination of things that we've seen before, so the same frame that we've had before, it's the same suspension. Your engine displacement got bigger, but it is still a Milwaukee 8. The body style we saw last year, but we've not seen all that put together on this package. So this is still technically a pretty new motorcycle, all things considered. Very curious to know your thoughts down in the comments. Love it, hate it, indifferent to it, surprised by it, what you like, what you dislike, what you think about Harley Davidson's pricing on this bike. And be sure and look out for the test ride review on this model coming soon. We have a lot of rain this week, so I don't know if I'll get a chance to do that. But if so, I promise I'll get it up as quickly as possible. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Don't forget, subscribe and leave a comment. It could be any comment. Your comments on the bikes do count. Any comment that you leave counts towards getting you a free Tim's Harley Davidson t-shirt or Tim's Harley Davidson hat. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.